Good morning everyone, my name is Lavanya, DL in Mathematics, TTWRDC, Mahbubabad. Today I am going to teach group theory, some topics, some basic topics on group theory. Okay, let us focus on the topic. What are the contents today I am going to teach is about set, number systems, set and its types, binary operation, algebraic structure, group, applications on groups, composition table and its applications. Okay. First, what is a set? A set is a collection of well-defined objects and it is usually denoted by capital letters like capital A, capital B and capital C. The elements are denoted by lowercase letters small a, small b and small c. Okay. What are the examples of set means? Here we can take the examples as some examples of set means natural number set, real number set and rational number set, like that, whatever it may be, finite sets, infinite sets, like that we can say take. Okay. Number systems. The number systems are made up of various types of numbers and they are as follows. The number systems are like natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers and irrational numbers, real numbers and complex numbers. Okay. First we'll see what are the natural numbers. Natural numbers means the number starts from 1 to 2, 3 and so on. It is an infinite set. And whole numbers means the set consisting of natural numbers along with 0. That means 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Integers. Integers means it is the combination of both positive and negative numbers along with 0. Rational numbers. Rational numbers means the numbers which are denoted by q and the numbers are in a p by q form, where p comma q belongs to z, means p comma q are integers and the denominator which is nothing but q which is not is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, the number will be converted as infinity. So that number must not be is equal to 0. Rational numbers are in p by q form, like that. For example, 3 by 4, 4 by 3, 5 by 6, 1, 2, all these are rational numbers. Next we go to irrational numbers. Irrational numbers means the numbers which are not rational, or otherwise the numbers which cannot be taken out from the root are called irrational numbers, that are in the form of root p, where p is a prime number. For example, root 2, root 3, root 5 and so on. In generally irrational numbers are denoted by q bar. And next we go for real numbers. Real numbers means it is the combination of both rational and irrational numbers are called real numbers. Next and real numbers are denoted by capital R. Next we'll go for complex numbers. Complex numbers are denoted by capital C. It is the combination of a plus ib, means real and imaginary part, where a plus ib, a is the real part and b is the imaginary part, where a comma b both are belongs to real number set. Okay. If we see the Venn diagram here natural number set is the least in this, among these sets I am saying. Natural number set is the subset of whole number set. Whole number set is the subset of integers. Integers is the subset of rational numbers and rational numbers is the subset of real numbers. Here irrational numbers also lies in real numbers only, but irrational numbers is not equal to rational numbers. They are different from each other, and real numbers lies in complex numbers. It is the subset of complex numbers. First, what is the highest set here? Complex numbers. Next, real numbers. In real numbers we have rational and irrational. In rational numbers we have integers. In integers we have whole numbers, and in whole numbers we have natural numbers. This is the Venn diagram of number systems. Next we go for the next topic, that is nothing but types of sets. We have empty set. Empty set means a set is said to be empty set if it contains no elements. This is also called as a null set or void set. No elements means it does not consisting a singleton element. It is denoted by pi or this symbol. This is a symbol of empty set. Okay. Next example is next set is singleton set. A set is said to be singleton set if it contains only one element. If a set consisting of only one element, single element, then that set is called as a singleton set. For example, a singleton set, a set is said to be singleton set if it contains only one element. One element, for example, if it consisting of only one element, for example, if we take here if B is the set, then it consisting of only one element. For example, X we are taking, where X is a even prime. Is there any even prime numbers? No, only one element we have. So here in the set of B, it consisting of only single element, that is nothing but B is equal to 2. 2 is even prime number. There is no even prime in the set, in the number system. Okay na? So singleton set means this is the example for singleton set. Next we'll go for another set. Next, finite set. A set is said to be finite set if it consisting of finite number of elements. Finite number of elements, it consisting of countable number of elements. For example, if we take the number of alphabets in English, the number of alphabets, English alphabets, that is nothing but 26. 26 alphabets we have. Is it correct or not? Is it countable or not? So that set is a finite set. Countable number of elements must be there in that set. Then we can say it is a finite set. Next example, if we take number of vowels in the alphabets. What are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U. The number of vowels are 5. So it is also a finite set. Number of elements in Telugu Varnamala. This is also a finite set. That number is countable. Number of students in the class, number of benches in the class, and number of batches in the college, number of staff in the college. These all are examples of a finite set. Next we will go for infinite set. Next we go for infinite set. A set is said to be infinite set if it contains infinite number of elements, means uncountable number of elements. We cannot count the number of elements in that set. That set is called as an infinite set. For example, number of elements in the number of stars in the sky. Is it countable? No, it is not countable. Number of hairs on your head, it is also not countable. And number systems, for example, natural numbers. What are the total count of natural numbers? Is it countable? No, it is not countable. The numbers are infinite numbers, means it is an infinite set. And whole numbers, real numbers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, complex numbers, all these sets are examples of infinite set. How many types of sets we have seen? Empty set, singleton set, and finite set, infinite set. These are types of sets. Next topic we'll go for subset. What is the subset meaning? Let A comma B be two sets, then A is said to be subset of B if every element of A is in the set B. That is denoted by A is subset of B. Here we are taking two sets, A and B. Here A is a subset of B. When we say A is subset of B, when every element of A is in B. For example, If we take here B is equal to, I am taking 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, here I am taking the example as B is equal to 1 2 3 4 5 like this, where A is equal to, I am taking here 4 and 5. Here the elements of A are 4 comma 5. The elements of B are 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. The elements of A 4 comma 5 are in B. So all the elements of A are the elements of B. So what we can say, A is subset of B. Here if we see Venn diagram, the whole set A lies in B. So this is denoted by A is subset of B. Symbolically we denote this as A is subset of B. Okay, this is the definition of subset. Next we will discuss about superset. If A is subset of B, then B is called as a superset of, if A is subset of B, then B is called as superset of A. It is denoted by B is a superset of A. Symbolically we can denote like this. A is subset of B means symbolically we denote like this, and B is superset of A means it is denoted by B is superset of, symbolically we denoted like this. And this is the Venn diagram of A is subset of B and B is superset of A. Okay. Next we go for binary operation. Okay, the previous topics are just for introduction of the group theory. Here we are seeing the definition of binary operation. Binary operation means it is just a operation. It means let G be any set, G must be any non-empty set. If G is an empty set, we cannot do the operations on the elements. If it is empty, there is no elements, we can't do the operations. But that's why G must be a non-empty set. A binary operation on G is a function that assigns each ordered pair of elements of G as elements of G. That means if we take any two elements from G, if we done any operation on those two elements, the product or sum of those two elements again belongs to the same set G, then we can say it is a it means the operation is an binary operation. For example, if we see, if A comma, okay, if we see, if A comma B belongs to G, then A plus B must be belongs to G. If we take any two elements from G, the sum of those two elements again belongs to G, then we can say it is a binary operation. Here the plus is the binary operation. Again, if A minus B belongs to G, then we can say minus is the binary operation. If A dot B belongs to G, then dot is the binary operation. That means if we take any two elements from the group G, from the set G, and if we apply the operation on those two elements, then that operations, whatever it may be plus, it may be minus, it may be dot, or it may be divided by star, composition, whatever the operation, those operations are called as binary operations. Here if we see the property, closure property, what I am taking here, star is any operation and G is any set, then star from G cross G tends to G is a binary operation. That means here the function is star. Here the operation function is taken as star, and if we take any two elements from the set, G into G means G by G means we are taking any two elements from G only, one element from G and one element from G, and we are multiplying those two elements. Again the product of those two elements is coming to G. So it is a binary operation. What is the binary operation? This star is the binary operation, that is denoted by for all a comma b belongs to G, that implies a star b is also belongs to G. So closure property is nothing but a binary operation definition. Binary operation means nothing but closure property. Okay. Next we will go for group definition. Algebraic structure. Okay. Next we'll go for algebraic structure. A non-empty set G equipped with one or more binary operations is said to be algebraic structure. Means if, here we'll define, if n is any set and plus is the binary operation, the combination of these two is called as algebraic structure. If G is any set and minus is any operation, then the combination of these two is called algebraic structure. The algebraic structure may equipped with one or more binary operations, they are saying. That means if G is a set and plus comma minus comma into comma divided by and so on, it may take so many number of operations like that, plus minus into divided by, it may take one or more binary operations, it may take more number of binary operations. In the combination of the set and the binary operations is called as algebraic structure. This is the definition of algebraic structure. What is the definition of algebraic structure? A non-empty set G equipped with one or more binary operations is called as algebraic structures. Next we'll see the definition of group. What do you mean by group? Let G be a non-empty set with a binary operation that assigns to each ordered pair a comma b of elements of G, and an element in G is denoted as AB. What they are saying? If G is any non-empty set, what we are taking? G is any non-empty set. G must not be an empty set. If it is empty, there is nothing to prove. Already we have learnt G must be a non-empty set. And a binary operation we are taking. A binary operation means we know that if we take any two elements from the set, the product or sum of those two elements again belongs to the same set. That they are saying. What they are saying? Here they are taking an ordered pair A comma B. They are taking any two elements of G. These two elements they are taking from G. Then an element in G is denoted as AB. The product of these two elements is denoted as AB again in G. If we are taking A comma B two elements from G, the product of those two elements AB again belongs to G. We say G is a group, and under this operation, if G is a group under this operation, it must satisfy these properties. As it's satisfying that it is A comma B belongs to G means A dot B is also belongs to G means it is satisfying closure property. Now it has to satisfy remaining three properties, means associative, identity and inverse property. Associative means if for all A comma B comma C in G, then A star B star C is equal to A star B star C. Means associative means we have to take any three elements from the given set, and by changing the order of those three elements, if we done the operation on those three elements, the product on or sum on both sides must be equal. That means if A star B star C is equal to A star B star C. For example, I am taking here I am telling, if I am taking any three elements from natural number set, I am taking 1, 2, 3 belongs to n. Okay. Now I am changing the order and I am adding those three elements, 1 plus 2 plus 3. First I am taking like this. Next what I am taking, 1 plus 2 plus 3 I am doing. Here what is the sum of these three elements? Sum of these three elements, 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 3 means 6 here. 6 is equal to, here also 1 plus 2 plus 3 means 5. 5 plus 1 means 6. So 6 is equal to 6. On both sides the sum of the elements are equal. So this indicates it's satisfying associative property. That's what I am saying. If we take any three elements from G, the product or sum of, here I am taking addition. If we take multiplication also, it satisfies. A star, star means we may take addition or multiplication or whatever the operation. If it satisfies this condition, that is nothing but A star B star C is equal to A star B star C, then we can say it satisfies associative property. Next we'll go for identity property. What do you mean by identity property? There exists an E in the set G such that A star E is equal to A and E star A is equal to A for all elements A in G. What I am saying, if A is an element in G, there exists E is an element in G. For every A belongs to G, there must be E belongs to G, and it satisfies the condition that A star E is equal to E star A is equal to A. So here if we observe, first again I am taking the operation plus. If 2 is any element in n, and if I add 2 with E, again what I have to get? 2 only. What I have to get? 2 only. So what is the E here? If we take the left hand side 2 to the right hand side 2 minus 2, that means what I am getting? 2 minus 2 is nothing but 0. 2 minus 2 is nothing but 0. Here E is equal to 0. E is the identity element. That's what they are saying. If A plus E, if I am taking instead of star plus here, A plus E is equal to A, means E is equal to A minus A, that is nothing but 0. Means with respect to addition, here what is the identity element we have? With respect to addition, what is the identity element? E is equal to 0 is the identity element. If I am taking multiplication, what is the identity element with respect to multiplication? Here I am taking 2. I have to multiply this 2 with E, then I have to get again 2. Then what is the value of E here? 2 by 2, that is nothing but 1. So with respect to multiplication, E is equal to 1 is the identity element. So what is the identity element with respect to addition? With respect to addition, E is equal to 0 is the identity element, and with respect to multiplication, 1 is the identity element. What is the identity property? If for all A belongs to G, there exists E belongs to G, then A star E is equal to E star A is equal to A, then E is the identity element. What is the identity element? E is the identity element, and we know that with respect to addition, 0 is the identity element, and with respect to multiplication, 1 is the identity element. Next we will go for the next property, that is nothing but inverse property. Inverse property means If for all, I'll write here, for all A belongs to G and E belongs to G. Why I am taking E belongs to G? Already we have proved that G satisfies identity property. Identity property means E is in G. So that's why I am taking E belongs to G. Then there exists B belongs to G such that A dot B is equal to B dot A is equal to E. Means if we multiply A and B to each other, A dot B is equal to B dot A is equal to E. The product of those two elements must be is equal to identity element. Then those two elements are called inverse to each other. That means A is inverse to B here and B is inverse to A. This is property is called as inverse property. What do you mean by inverse property? If for all A belongs to G and E belongs to G, there exists B belongs to G such that A dot B is equal to B dot A is equal to E. Here E is the identity element and A is inverse to B and B is inverse to A. For each A, there must be AB. If okay, fine. If G satisfies these four properties, what are the four properties? Closure, associative, identity and inverse, then we can say G is a group with respect to the given binary operation. We are taking this as binary operation, then there is no need to say closure property. But if we are saying that it is an operation, then we must say it must satisfy four properties, that is nothing but closure, associative, identity and inverse. Okay, next we'll go for next topic. Okay, we'll see some applications on groups. First set, what we are taking, integer set. We are taking integer set and we are taking the operation as addition. Now we have to check whether it is satisfying group conditions or not. What are the group conditions? We know that if it we have to say that an integer set is a group with respect to addition, means it must satisfy closure, associative, identity and inverse. Here what I am taking, I am considering the set integers. Can you name the identity element of integers when it comes to addition? Can you name the integers identity element of integers when it comes to addition? Already I have told you, if addition is the operation, what is the identity element? 0 is the identity element. So 0 is the identity element. Whenever addition is the binary operation, 0 is the identity element. If multiplication is the binary operation, 1 is the identity element. That is because A plus 0 is equal to 0 plus A is equal to A. As we are getting A again, so here 0 is the identity element. So in integer set, what is the identity element? 0 is the identity element, as we know the property as A plus E is equal to E plus A plus E is equal to A plus E is equal to E plus A is equal to A, as it is the property. If we substitute E is equal to 0, as it's satisfying, what we can say, 0 is the identity element in integer set. Next, sticking with the integers, let's say we have a number A. What I am taking? A number A from integer set. Can we find its inverse? Can we find its inverse? That is, does there exist an A inverse such that A plus A inverse is equal to A inverse plus A is equal to A? Is there any inverse element that exists in integer set? For example, 5 plus 5 inverse is equal to 0. Now what is the 5 inverse here? Minus 5. If 5 plus of minus 5 we can take, then we are going to get the element 0. Here I will show you. if I am taking any element 2 from the set of integers, and here we have the identity element 0, and now what is the inverse element here? We must have to take minus 2. 2 plus of minus 2, that is nothing but 2 minus 2, which is equal to 0. So 2 is the inverse of minus 2 here, and minus 2 is the inverse of 2. Okay. So for every positive element there must be a negative element in integer set. So the inverse element is existing in integer set. So what is the inverse of 5? Minus 5. What is the inverse of 2? Minus 2. What is the inverse of 2000? Minus 2000. What is the inverse of 2000? Minus 2000. What is the inverse of 20? Minus 20. So for every positive element there must be a negative element. So for positive elements, negative elements are inverse elements. So in this integer set, inverse property is satisfying. Okay. If I add two integers together, will the result be an integer? Yes. Yes. If I am taking 2 here and if I am taking any two elements, so 2 comma 3 I am taking. Now the sum of those two elements, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Again the element 5 belongs to integer set only. So that the question they are asking. If I add two integers together, will the result be an integer? Yes, it is an integer. So it satisfies binary operation property, that means closure property also, as it's satisfying identity, inverse and closure property. Finally, does a plus b plus c is equal to a plus b plus c? Is it satisfying? If closure property is satisfies, obviously associative property is also satisfies. If we take any three elements, we'll check. If we take any three elements, 2 comma 3 comma 5 I am taking, I am adding by changing the order of those three elements, 2 plus 3 plus 5, that is equal to what I am taking here, 2 plus 3 plus 5. Now the sum on both sides, that is nothing but 2 plus 3, 5 plus 5, 10 is equal to 10. So both sides the sum of the elements is equal. So what I am going to say, that it satisfies associative property also, as it's satisfying all four properties, that is nothing but closure, associative, identity and inverse. What I am saying is it is a group. What is a group? Integer set is a group with respect to addition. Okay, next application we'll see. Next I am taking the same set, integer set, and I am going to check whether it is satisfying group conditions or not, but I am taking here multiplication as the binary operation. I am changing the binary operation. First I have taken addition as the binary operation, now I am taking multiplication as the binary operation. Now I am going to check whether it is satisfying group conditions or not. Here let's go through the three steps again. First we need to find the identity property. Similarly, first there also we have checked identity property. Here I am going to check whether it is satisfying identity property or not. In this, a star e is equal to e star a is equal to a. What is the identity property? A star e is equal to e star a. Here star means multiplication, that means a is equal to ea is equal to a. Means here, okay, what I am taking here, I'll take one example. Okay. First, if I take 5, they are taking, so also taking 5. 5 star E is equal to again 5. Means 5 into E is equal to 5. That means E is equal to 5 by 5 means 1. Is 1 belongs to integer set or not? Yes, the element 1 belongs to integer set. So what we can say, it satisfies identity property with respect to multiplication. It satisfies identity property, whatever the element you may check. Next example, you may take, one student asked me, shall I take 2000? Yes, you may take 2000. 2000 into 1 is equal to again 2000. Means here 1 is the identity element. Again I am getting the same element 2000 by multiplying with 1. So any element in integer set multiplied by 1, again I am getting the same element. So 1 is the identity element here, and the element 1 belongs to the integer set. So what I can say, that integer set satisfies identity property. Now we need to find out if integers under multiplication have inverse. Is it satisfies inverse property or not? Similarly, so if we take a number A, any number, A means any number from integer set, we can find A inverse such that A into A inverse into, why I am saying here, why? Because I am taking multiplication as binary operation. That's why I am taking multiplication symbol here. A into A inverse is equal to E. Let's try. Again 5 I am taking. 5 means here I'll 5 into 5 inverse. 5 inverse is equal to E. E means 1 I have to get. So 5 into 5 inverse means if I have to get 1, that 5 inverse must be, inverse of 5 must be 1 by 5. But then only I'll get 1. Okay. But here 1 by 5 is in P by Q form. Is P by Q form elements belongs to the set Z. Is P by Q form elements belongs to the set Z? No. But the elements, but here I'll show you, but that it isn't in integers. 1 by 5 is not in integer set. So what we can say, it does not satisfies inverse property with respect to multiplication. Integer set does not satisfies inverse property with respect to multiplication. If a set must satisfies closure, associative, identity, inverse, all these 4 properties, then only we can say it is a group. If it satisfies to fail any one property, then we can say we cannot say it is a group. So it is not a group under multiplication. The integer set does not satisfy all 4 properties, so it is not a group. Okay. Like this we have many examples, like rational numbers under the operation addition is a group, and non-zero rational numbers under multiplication is a group. Why I am taking non-zero rational numbers? If I take the inverse of 0, what I am going to get? 1 by 0. 1 by 0, what is the inverse of 0? 1 by 0. 1 by 0 means, is it 1 by 0 means infinity. Is infinity belongs to Q? No. Infinity does not belongs to Q. Infinity means the number not defined till now. So it is not a group if we take 0 in that group with respect to multiplication. So Q minus 0 under the operation multiplication is a group, and R comma plus and R minus 0 without non-zero elements with respect to multiplication are groups, and C comma plus and the non-zero complex numbers. C means complex numbers I am taking. Non-zero complex numbers under the operation star. Star means if star is not defined, ultimate binary operation is multiplication, are groups, and all 2 by 2 matrices under addition and multiplication are groups. Next composition table. A binary operation in a finite set can completely be described by means of a table. This table is known as composition table. The composition table helps us to verify group properties satisfied by the binary operations. What do you mean by composition table? Composition table means it is a table which check whether the given finite set satisfies all group conditions or not. It is applicable only on finite set. You have to remember that it is only applicable for finite set, and we can check whether it is satisfying group conditions or not under the given binary operation by using the composition table. Composition table is used to check the given finite set is a group or not under the given binary operation. So how we have to check? Composition table means how many rows and columns we have to take, that we'll discuss. Finite set means if we have n elements in the set, then we have to take n plus 1 rows and n plus 1 columns. N plus 1 rows and n plus 1 columns. We have to form a table, and we have to take the binary operation in that table, and we have to fill the table. By filling the table, we have to check whether it is satisfying group conditions or not. Okay. How can the composition table will be used? The composition table is used to check whether the given set is satisfying finite set. You have to remember it must be a finite set whether it is satisfying group conditions or not under the given operations. The table must consisting of, if in the set there must be, if in the set, if the set consisting of n elements, n plus 1 rows and n plus 1 columns we have to take. If it consisting of 3 elements, 3 plus 1 rows and 3 plus 1 columns, means 4 rows and 4 columns we have to take. If it consisting of 5 elements, 5 plus 1 means 6 rows and 6 columns we have to take. If it consisting of 2000 elements, 2001 rows and 2001 columns we have to take. Okay. Next. Next, implementation of composition table. Here I am taking G is equal to A1 comma A2 comma A3 comma so on a n number of elements. Here we have to form the table like this. Here we have n elements, so I have to take n plus 1 rows and n plus 1 columns, and I have to take in first box I have to take the binary operation. Here binary operation is not mentioned, so ultimate binary operation is multiplication. I am taking the elements in rows and columns. The first row I am filling with A1, A2, so on AI and AJ and so on AN. Here also I am taking A1, A2, AI, AJ and so on AN. I am multiplying all the elements A1 into A1. I am putting this A1 into A2, A1 into AI, A1 into AJ and so on A1 into AN. Next I am multiplying with A2, A2 into A1, A2 into A2, A2 into AI and so on A2 into AN. And later I am multiplying with AI into A1, AI into A2, AI into AI and so on AI into AJ. And later I am multiplying with last element AI into AN, and means I am multiplying with all these elements with each other. Next I am multiplying with AJ. Next I am going to multiply with AN, AN into A1, AN into A2, AN into AI and so on. Last element will be AN into AN. Like this I am filling all this table. Now how to check whether it is satisfying group properties or not. Property, if all the elements of the table are the elements of the given set or not, we have to check. If the set of elements are the elements in the table, then we can say it satisfies closure property. Associative property means we have to take any 3 elements and we have to check whether it is satisfying associative property or not. means here we have to take any three elements and we have to change the order of those three elements, and we have to check whether it is satisfying associative property or not. If the both sides product or sum equal, then we can say it satisfies associative property. Next, identity property. Identity property means we have to check whether the top row elements are similar to any row or not. If any row is similar to the top row elements, then we can say it satisfies identity property, and the leading element of that row, that is the identity element, if it satisfies, then we can say G satisfies identity property also. Next, inverse. Inverse means if A star B is equal to E, then we can say A and B are inverse to each other, and G satisfies inverse property. So G is a group with respect to multiplication. An application on Calais table, we'll see. What is the application? I'll read out. Show that the subset 1 comma minus 1 comma I comma minus I of complex numbers is a group under multiplication. We have to check whether the subset of complex numbers, the fourth roots of unity, that is nothing but 1 minus 1 I minus I, is a group or not under multiplication. We have to check. Here what I am taking the set G as G is equal to 1 comma minus 1 comma I comma minus I, and what is the binary operation? Here multiplication is the binary operation. Here we have 4 elements, means we have to take 4 plus 1 rows and 4 plus 1 columns. So I am taking 5 rows and 5 columns in the composition table. First, multiplication is the binary operation, that operation I am taking here, and 1 minus 1 I minus I, the elements I am taking here. Here also in the rows, first row and first column I am taking 1 minus 1 I minus I, and here also I am taking 1 minus 1 I minus I. Now I am filling this box by multiplying the elements. 1 into 1, 1. 1 into minus 1, minus 1, 1 into I, 1 into minus I, minus I, minus 1 into 1, minus 1, minus 1 into minus 1, 1, minus 1 into I, minus I, minus 1 into minus I. Next I am multiplying with I into 1, I into minus 1, minus I into I square means minus 1, I into minus I square means 1. Next I am multiplying with minus I into 1, minus I into minus 1 I, minus I into I 1, and that is nothing but minus I square value is 1, minus I into minus I, that is nothing but minus 1. Now I have filled all the table. Next I have to check whether it is satisfying all the conditions of group or not. First I am checking the table. The elements in the table are the elements of the given set or not. Here what are the elements in the set? 1 minus 1 I minus I. In the table also, if I check, the elements are 1 minus 1 I minus I. So all the elements in the table are the elements of the given set. So what I have to say, that it satisfies closure property. First property, closure property, is nothing but if all the elements of the table are the elements of the given set, then we can say the set satisfies closure property. Here it's satisfying closure property, so G satisfies closure property. Next I am checking associative. Associative means, as usually we have to take any 3 elements from the set. So I am taking here 1 minus 1 I, these 3 elements from the set G. I am multiplying by changing the order. What I am doing, first I am taking 1 into minus 1 into I. Here next I am taking here 1 into minus 1 into I. Both sides I am getting minus I as the value of the product. So both sides I am getting equal value. So what I am going to say, it satisfies associative property. Next I am checking whether it is satisfying identity property or not. Here in this table, if we check, the top row elements are identical with any row or not. Here 1 minus 1 I minus I are the elements in the top row. Next if we check, the first row elements are also equal to the same with the top row elements. 1 1 minus 1 minus 1 I minus I minus I. So the first row elements are similar to the top row elements. As the row elements are similar to the top row elements, what we can say, it satisfies identity property, and the leading element of that row, that means 1 is the identity element. 1 is the identity element. Next we have to check whether it is satisfying inverse property or not. Inverse property means what I am going to say, if A star B is equal to E, then A and B are inverse to each other. First, what I have to do, I have to check whether each row consisting the identity element or not. First I am checking here. One is the identity element, one is the identity element, one is the identity element, one is the identity element. So here every row consisting of identity element, so it satisfies inverse property. Now we have to check what are the inverses, the corresponding elements of that one. So if one is the identity element, the corresponding elements of this one, that means 1 and 1 are inverse to each other. So these two elements are inverse to each other. So here in the second row, the corresponding elements of 1 are -1 and -1. So -1 is inverse to -1. Next, in this one, for this one, minus I is the inverse of I, and this in the fourth row, I is the inverse of minus I. So for every row, consisting of each row consisting of identity elements, and the corresponding elements of that identity element are inverse to each other. So 1 is the inverse of 1, -1 is the inverse of -1, and I is the inverse of minus I, and minus I is the inverse of I. So every element in G consisting of inverse element, what we can say, it satisfies inverse property. As it satisfying closure, associative, identity and inverse, what we can say, it is a group. If a non-empty set satisfies all four properties, what we can say, it satisfies group properties. Okay, this is enough for today. Thank you, madam. Thank you for giving this opportunity. And I think today we have learned about set, number systems and types of sets, binary operation, algebraic structures, and group properties, and composition table, some applications on groups, and some applications on composition table. These are the basic concepts of group theory. I think we finished very well. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you, madam. This is Lavanya from TTWRDC, Mahbubabad.